Ah, there I am. Okay. Alrighty. Alrighty. Alright. Let me double check to make sure that's where I was at before I start reading. Hmm. Let's see. Okay. Yep. Alrighty. That's. Oh crap! No, no, no. Hold on. Hold on. Be right. Alright. Sorry about that. I just had something else going on in the background that I had to mute. Alright. What is going on with this? What? Alright. Let me put this up here. Uh, what? Oh, recommended. I can't help it that. Alright. Uh, me. Excuse me. Alright. Alright. Before I continue with Cinder's Google Doc, I want to say a few things. For anyone who knows, Cinder is officially back to streaming. She she started streaming again yesterday. No, Wednesday, and of course I was there. And overall, it went quite well. And she, I could tell she was still trying to figure these things out, and she was being emotional because, of course, we all know what happened. And it's nice that she is back. It really is. You can tell that she is very happy to be back, and she mentioned some things that, even though she said she wasn't going to mention things in even though she said she wasn't going to mention stuff about what had happened, she still wound up mentioning several things and a couple other things that was not in the Google Doc, I guess. Or I haven't gotten to it, but she's got a new puppy and he is adorable. So, yeah, Cinder's back and something else I do plan on doing is I will be streaming tomorrow to continue this. I don't know how long it's going to take me to get through Cinder's Google Doc, but I'm going to be finishing this up, and then I've got a couple videos I do want to do, and yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and continue reading the Google Doc, shall we? This is Nato's message screenshots, manipulation, and speculation. Another thing I'd like to point out is the fact that Nano's screenshots present in both her and Bao's documents were manipulated after Nano had already given them to Shy Lily. Wait a minute. Another thing I'd like to point out is the fact that Nano screenshots present in both her and Bao's documents were manipulated after Nano had already given them to Shy Lily and Bao, meaning that someone helped Nano cover up information and proving Nano did not originally present the screenshots to them this way. Here is one of the screenshots in Nano's document. The bottom is cut off. Oh, yeah, it is. We could tell her no, and then tell us to buy another art piece. Okay, this is the whole thing about the, um, oh gosh, about the exclusivity offer, which of course we all know Nano was the first one to bring it up. So I really don't want to go over all that again. If you want to know, there's previous streams to go through all that. Here is the same screenshot from Bao's document. The image is higher is higher quality, the censorship is done differently, and the bottom where Nano says the deal was fair is present. Nano was the only one who could have had these screenshots from her DMs with Red to give to Bao to use. Even the timestamps of the DMs are the same. Okay, 9 p.m. 9 p.m. Okay, yep. Ah, okay. So here's okay. So Nano cut that off there, and Bao left. Okay, so this is odd. Bao left things intact, and Nano didn't, which leads me to believe that Bao is did not have any malicious intent. I could be wrong, but let's continue reading. If Bao's document had the full screenshot, then that means Nano showed them the full screenshot. But at some point after showing Shy Lily, Bao and my friends, it was decided to edit the screenshots in Nano's document to crop out her calling the deal fair, removing her guilt. Another example of this image of Red's message about cotton. In Nano's document, the message about cotton is deliberately doctored out of the image, as if it never existed. Nano had no relationship with Cotton and is on record saying she didn't care about her, would have had no reason to do this. Okay, that's just Red and Nano. Okay, okay. Given. Okay, yeah. As we can see, there's this whole section here is missing. But Bao's document shows the message and just censors Cotton's name. It also contains the message. Excuse me. It also contains the message at the bottom, unlike the screenshots Nano used. I'm sure why Bao's own name. I'm sure why Bao's own name is censored in the screenshot from her at the bottom, unlike the screenshot Nano used. I'm unsure why Bao's name is censored in the screenshot from her own document. Okay, yeah, that is weird. Why would Bao censor her own name when she's releasing the document herself? So if her friends knew what the full screenshot if my friends knew what the full screenshot showed here, but they were manipulated in Nano's document before showing them to the public, then who did it? At the very least, I know that Nano's specific message calling their deal with Red Fair was seen by Shy Lily, Bao, and my friends. My friends who were involved are not stupid. They wouldn't have done this to me if Nano didn't show them everything that happened first, right? I originally thought that, as my friends, they would have wanted to be fully informed on everything that happened before making their decision to cancel me. Unless the first person Nano contacted, the one who told Nano she was being manipulated to begin with, the one who contacted Bao for her, was backing all her claims to them. I believe with Shy Lily already on her side, Nano lied to her about her experiences with us from the start to hide her own guilt and push it all onto us. How could she show Shy Lily what she did and said about one of her best friends, Bao? If Shy Lily was the only if Shy Lily was the only if Shy Lily was only shown the snippets of the DMs that Nano chose to show her, she wouldn't have cared what the full context was. Shy Lily saw what Red said about her, and that was enough for her to agree with whatever story Nano told her with whatever little evidence was given for it. The rest of my friends could have just been told by Shy Lily and Nano what happened and also weren't shown anything beyond Nano's cherry picked screenshots, completely trusting in their story and jumping to conclusion because of their past experience, especially in Bao's case, who was right out of surgery, whose most trusted friends were telling her what happened and posted her document 2 days later, supporting the idea that they may not have seen everything, is that no one tried to contact me about any of this and may have been manipulated not to under the guise that I be the one to manipulate them. If they did, they would have heard a contradicting story. Yeah, that is a good point. What was Nano's motive to leak the messages to Shy Lily and eventually post this document? speculation again. It's very handy that Cinder is making sure she labels it speculation. That way she can't get sued. So Cinder is covering her butt very well here. Everything that was posted was on top of Nano's claims, but her story isn't true. She wasn't manipulated, and Red didn't lie to her. Then what was her motivation? Nano's manager Akira told Red that Nano wouldn't be working with us anymore due to artistic burnout, and for no other reason, burnout is mentioned, and no other reason burnout, and for no other reason, burnout is mentioned once in Nano's document, and she showed no signs of burnout in our conversations with her for 7 months since I was canceled. She continued to work on more than plenty of projects. It doesn't make sense as a motive. No, it doesn't. As can be seen from our DMs, Nana was already treated well by us and was always excited to work on my projects, even right up to her last messages to us. Not wanting to work together wouldn't be her motive. Since working with Nano, my work alone has made her over 100,000. Oh, over $100,000, with about $60 of that being within the last year from when I was canceled. Given that I was her most frequent client, she wouldn't have had a monetary reason to do this. Yeah, no, that is Cinder. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Nano's reasoning behind many of her claims written in her document are contradictory to how she behaved for years and how she's responsible to situations when they have happened. Those couldn't have been her motive. Nano only leaked her DMs with Red after he talked to her about Shy Lily. Why was that her turning point? If Nano had concerns about what Red was saying about Shy Lily, then why didn't she ask him for evidence? Why didn't she come to talk to me about it? Because she suspected Red, who's been on her side for years, of lying before she'd ever suspect the Shy Lily of any wrongdoing. I believe Nano was curious about the things Red said about Shy Lily and asked her about them. Shy Lily lied to Nano about her own actions and told her she was being manipulated by Red. If if we're to believe that Nano was so easily manipulated by my manager in their casual conversation, then how likely is it that Nano could have been manipulated, used, or pressured by the biggest pissed off indie VTuber Shy Lily directly throughout this whole ordeal? Nano betrayed Red's trust in her after believing everything Shy Lily said and either willingly leaked more DMs to Shy Lily for her opinion or Shy Lily asked Nano if there was more to see. There was no backing out now. She had to go along with the events that came next and carefully maneuvered her way to the best possible outcome for herself. Nothing from Nano's DMs could have been made public without her cooperation, and her cooperation wouldn't make sense if she wasn't also a victim. Shy Lily in lying to Nanos inadvertently gave her the excuse and support she needed to blame all of her actions on Red, and without ever having to show for it. If Nano leaking messages, excuse me, if to show for it, Nano leaking messages, hiding the truth, and going along with the plan to post her document was about self-serving, self-preservation in the eyes of Shy Lily, my friends, and the public, at the expense of people who supported her for years. Who wrote Nano's document? Speculation. I do not believe Nano wrote her own document, and whoever did manipulated the information Nano had and maliciously wrote about me. Nano then presented it to the public, and the real author kept their hands clean from any direct involvement. Nano's document itself states that she did not write it or put it together. This is further evidence of the fact that Nano's DMs are typed completely different to how her document was written. English not being my first language and a language barrier, I discussed the situation, my feelings, and thoughts with native English speakers who helped me put them into words so everything is clear about without any misunderstanding due to lack of English skills. Oh, she's right. She had Someone did this for her. I did not catch that the first time I read that. The document starts with Bao's involvement, not about herself, and not about what chronologically happened first. Nano is on record saying she didn't care about Bao. Yep. The message the message from Red and Red about Cotton hurting one of our friends was cut out of the screenshot in Nano's document. Nano would have had no reason to do this, and she's on record saying she didn't care about Cotton. Nano had no prior relationship with our friends who was hurt either. Okay, well, Silver, she's giving a mess. Can't really prevent the Dear Lord, yeah, Bao has been, yeah, there, all of this is missing. Dear, and the quality is terrible. The way Nano's document claims she felt about Red, asking about her plans, and gossiping with her contradicts years of her own behavior. Issues with situations over the past couple of years claimed in her document weren't a problem to her when they happened. Nano would have known exactly how the events presented played out and the full context behind them. She lied about them, and someone who was just using Nano's messages helped her to do it. They didn't care about the validity of the claims being made. Only that they supported the greater narrative, purposely leaving out critical context and distorting the order of events. Only one screenshot of messages about Spite was included. Nano's document never mentioned Red asking her not to work with Spite, even though that seemingly would have helped her argument. The person who wrote it didn't know about it ever happening. However, I believe this wasn't included on purpose. Nano's document repeatedly uses the as symbol and symbol throughout, not just in section titles, but in the written text too, 25 times. Not once in the years of working together has she ever used this symbol in either of her messages with her. And in my experience, anywhere else it's not commonly used. Okay. Yeah. Screenshot with that. Yeah, nothing. Red and Nano. Okay, yeah. Nope. Nothing. A dozen people. Stupid. I forgot to silence my phone. Stupid scam calls. A dozen people, including Nano, Shy Lily, Bao, were involved in the planning of these documents. Bao's document didn't contain any use of the and symbol, and I believe Bao wrote her document herself. However, Shy Lily's reply to my apology tweet used and a total of 15 times in its writing. Did Shy Lily write Nano's document? Shy Lily was already giving me multiple signs that she had a problem with me before any of this happened, even saying on stream she always had a bad feeling about me. Shy Lily was involved from the very start, being the first person Nano told about Red's messages. Shy Lily was more than willing to lie about me herself, as you will see below. Shy Lily was the one who reached out to Bao for Nano, and most likely was the one to do the same with Cotton, Silvervale, and Spite. Nano's document starts with what happened with Bao, which would make sense if Shy Lily wrote it instead of Nano. The message about Cotton hurting a friend of ours is edited out of the screenshot. Is edited out of the screenshot of Red's DMs. Shy Lily is also close friends with that person and may have done this to keep them out of things. A link to the exact timestamps of one of my two raids into Shy Lily's stream that Red told Nano about just so happened to be included in her document of Shy Lily's defense, but not the incriminating one. Excuse me. Nano's document claimed manipulation when there wasn't any Shy Lily. Shy Lily was the one who told Nano she was being manipulated. She was the only other person involved who pushed that claim to the public. Shy Lily started her reply to my apology with it discrediting anything. I said, the absolute audacity to sit here and continue to manipulate and gaslight is absolute insanity. My use of it's just business was dishonestly portrayed in Nano's document. Shy Lily used the phrase in her reply to me was the only person who lied about the meaning behind it to the public and made it into the meme at my expense. Nano's document says my friends platform me when talking about my competition. That is very specific wording. Shy Lily said something very similar in her reply to my apology. She also said very similar things on stream Nano's document. The competition they're referring to are people I thought they considered friends who always helped support and platformed Cinder. Shilely's reply: everything you do is out of competition throughout your constant need to one up the people who are the sole reason you even have these opportunities and platforms to earn to begin with. Shilely stream: oh, let me just platform the very same person that tried to deplatform me and all of my friends that helped her get there to begin with. Let me just continue to platform that one person they tried to backstab us with begging to be in our positions. These two quotes from Nano's document are very similar to what Shy Lily said in her stream. Both were claiming manipulation, and Shy Lily specifically used the word problematic when describing someone Nano wouldn't want to work with. Nano's document: spreading rumors and lies to make other clients appear problematic to manipulate any further decisions regarding commissions. Another example of speaking ill of other creators right after they saw I was working with Shy Lily, trying to once again make the idea of working with other clients seem like I was setting myself up with problematic people to get me to reconsider working with them. Shalili stream: it was about me being slandered, throwing all kinds of accusations around to Nano, making me seem problematic, weird, making me sound like a person someone wouldn't want to work with. Charlie implied she was directly involved in making the document on her stream. I don't know where I was, but let me just say this section that she dedicated to Cotton and me. She said, sorry for not having any knowledge about this. And that's where I kind of got mad because, like I said, a lot of stuff that we posted about is only stuff we had hardcore receipts for. Obviously, there are lots of experiences that don't exist on paper. It's only private experience, but there's also more receipts, verifiable. Verifiable receipts that weren't added to the doc because either they are smaller things that just only really became a problem when added up, or they were a little too private to be shared. They contain information that people just don't want publicly have there, but it is kind of important for context. So pick and choose what you want to have up there. And most importantly, Nano's document is filed with the use of the and symbol in its writing, just like the only like Shy Lily's own reply to me. It's fairly obvious to me that Nano conspired with Shy Lily to write her document for her. Even if Nano lied to Shy Lily from the start, Shy Lily still helped Nano lie. Besides presenting everything in such a convoluted order, there were doctored screenshots in her document like I showed above. The same screenshots in Bao's document being uncropped and unedited shows that Bao was being honest with the information she was given, but Nano shallowly weren't. Being the person who presumably wrote Nano's document, Shy Lily and Nano would have known exactly what I meant by it's just business, but she was the only one who lied the most about it in Nano's document. In a reply to me and on her stream, interesting how she was able to connect my messages from that same conversation with Nano to how I must have to Nat. Same conversation with Nano to how I must have known about what Red said in her DMs with her 2 years later, but somehow not the fact that my use of the phrase and its meaning came directly from what he said that day before. 11/25/2023. Okay, we already read these. 11/26/2023. Okay, yeah, we already read all that. Again, you can check that stuff out in previous streams. Breaking down Bao's document. Originally, I had gone through Bao's entire document, pointing out the lies within it, but I no longer believed she and my friends were lying. They were misinformed and were speaking from what they thought was true. Nano and Shy Lily lied to and manipulated them all to see how see the story their way. Bao was understandably hurt when she found out about what happened and was in a sound state of mind after her surgery. I'll only be going over parts of Bao's document and with the context that she may not have had the full story from Nano or side of the story and pointing out her assumptions that wasn't true. Just like in Nano's document, Bao's document presents things as if her model was only cancelled once in August 2024, even though Nano can't. Even though, just like in Nano's document, Bao's document presents things if her model was only cancelled once in August 2024, even though Nano canceled it a second time in her deal with Red in January 2025. Excuse me. I will have I will have I will address this below. Bao's document references I was hurt personally and professionally by Sinder and her manager. Okay. I was very hurt. Okay. Yep, that is Bao's document. Before I start, I want to point out why I'm addressing both Cinder and Redacted Red, despite the message being largely from Redacted. Many times throughout the messages, the words we, were, are occurs numerous times as someone who was close to and worked with Cinder for years. I have firsthand experience on how Cinder and Red collaborated and the extent to which Red operates on as her primary point of contact on her professional and personal projects. It is that experience that leads me to believe that all requests and messages sent by Red were both known about and approved of it by Cinder. Just like Nano's document, this was an assumption that she corroborated with each other, and Bao refers to Red's actions as both of art in her document. This wasn't true, and no one could definitively say that in every single instance. Red was just a surrogate for my thoughts and feelings. Red is an individual who can think and feel for himself. Bao shows zero screenshots of our own DMs in her document. One of the only times Bao has first-hand experience of the way Red and I work together was with the She Wolf cover song. Bao's message Red, not me. And Red didn't tell me about all the information. When he asked me about it in the 3 days before Bao messaged me directly in her own experience with us, she should have cast doubt on this claim. I thought it was just the two of us. Maybe Red didn't tell me everything. Okay. On March 2024, I announced that one of my subathon goals was a live 2D model. Nanolist was going to be the live 2D illustrator. After she finished both the design and base model sketches, there was suddenly back and forth on whether or not she had the physical and mental capacity to continue my model. I was very sad as I had not only teased a screenshot of the model sketch on Twitter, but I had grown very attached to the design and showed it all to my friends in a private group chat that Cinder was part of. I shared how devastated I was, and she did not comment or say anything despite others in the group chat comforting her and reassuring me. As I will show, Bao is clearly talking about her model being cancelled in August 2024 here. After she As I will show, Bao is clearly talking about her model being cancelled in August of 2024 here. After she finished both the design and base model sketch, there was definitely back and forth on whether or not she had the physical and mental capacity to continue my model. Nano told Red herself that Bao's model hadn't been started yet. Yeah, so, alright. 2 weeks before canceling Bao's model, Nano told him that she wanted to cancel models, asking him about canceling a Bao specifically and telling him she wasn't the only one she was considering canceling. Bao was saying there was a back and forth, could imply that Nano approached her before August 5th when Red's messaged Nano again, already saying she may not continue her model. Dear Lord. In my private group chat that Cinder was part of, I shared how devastated I was, and she did not comment or say anything despite others in the group chat comforting and reassuring me. This was Bao's message she sent to our group chat when her model was canceled on August 6, 2024, which she also included in her tweet replying to my apology. I knew about this before Bao did. I felt guilty about it and didn't know what to say, so I didn't say anything. I should have been a better friend and at least tried talking to Nano for her, but I didn't. If this was Nano's decision like I was told, then I wasn't going to get involved. Okay. Yep, read that before. I now realize that the reason for her silence was because Cinder Redacted were deliberately sabotaging ongoing commissions and blocking VTubers such as myself from having access to art from Nanolists. Of course, from everything that we read before in the last several streams, this is not the case. Bao is either lying or has been lied to. I'm gonna go along the line of Bao is just has been manipulated, especially since she's not in the right mind with all surgery and everything. This claim is false. Bao would only have said this if Nano told her this was what was happening. Bao had reason to believe it too, with Nano telling her that her model was one of the was one of the ongoing commissions affected. Right after talking about August 24, 2024. When her model was canceled the first time, Bao presents screenshots from January 15, 2025, over 5 months later to explain why her model was canceled. Canceled in August. It is out of order and missing context as well. The screenshots Bao shows of Nano's DMs with Red are the same ones as Nano used in her document, including the time zone discrepancies I discussed. I will include the date and time of them in Eastern Standard in ETS like I did before, and as shown in full context of these conversations in Nano's section of this document. Okay. Okay, this is about. Okay, this is just showing 2 hours ahead of. Okay, this is. Okay, yeah, it's all out. It's all ahead of time. So this has also been manipulated. Oh gosh. Oh. Mm. Like was shown above, Nano's messages calling the deal fair and asking for a demon figure were cut from the exact same screenshot in Nano's document. Both the present and Bao's document here, what it looks like in Nano's document. Okay. And then here. Okay. One thing that puzzles me, if Bao, I mean, I could be wrong, but Bao had messages. She didn't, as we can see here, Bao didn't manipulate or change things. Everything's in order. I'm going to save that speculation for later. And of course, we see that it's missing. Screenshots from shown as 2 hours ahead of each standard time. Okay. All right. As I pointed out before, Bao's document shows the messages that about content above, unlike Nano's, and just like in Nano's document, the following messages from Nano are missing entirely. This wasn't Bao's fault. They were missing. They were missing. It's all Nano gave her. Okay, that would explain why there's stuff missing and out of order and some about stuff. Okay. All right. That explains. Showing 2 hours. All right. Oh. And again, the messages from Nano right after this are missing too. Huh? I'll cancel my model with Bao like forever. Okay. Nanolist acts redacted on why he's encouraging her not to finish my model. We of course know this is a lie. Red never encouraged Nano to delete to cancel Bao's model. The only thing closest, of course, we know is Silverveil's model. The then list my name amongst various VTubers as well as Vendetta, as the Vendettas, Cinder, and Redacted Harbor against each. Bao has been getting on our nerves for a while. She hijacked our YouTube editor, constantly picking up artists that we work with. Now she's barking up the tree of one of our L2D animators. Has a way of guilt tripping others to get her way. This is what redacted list of reasons why Nanolist should cancel her ongoing live 2D commissions with me, all while continuing to collaborate with me and pretending to be my friend. This is not what friends do. Friends do not sabotage other friends out of business opportunities. Friends do not spread lies to fuel selfish narratives. Friends do not use the private information they get from the privilege of being close friends just to use it to manipulate others. If stepping on your friends and abusing your power to connections is how you get into the top, then I hope you realize no one will be left when you get there. Of course, I have to keep saying this. Of course, we know this is all a lie. Natalis asks Redactor why he's encouraging her to finish my model. The statement is false, and it is not what happened, but Bao may have been told this was the case. This list above was how Red felt about Bao and his reasoning as to why he wanted to exclude her from working with Nano in the exclusivity deal in January 2025. But Bao, who only had the context of Nano shared with her, applied these reasons to her model being cancelled in August 2024 to explain why Red manipulated Nano to cancel it. Then, while Red was looking to prevent Bao from working with Nano, which was wrong, he didn't even know Bao had a model planned with her again. When Nano told him about it, he backed off, followed by Nano asking if he was sure and for him to explain why to her. Alright, these I've already read. Oh, I need a stretch. Oh. Stretch. Oh, okay. Oh, that is much better. Okay. Let me put my headphones back on. This is what redacted list as reasons why Nanolist should cancel her ongoing live 2D commission. Bao's model was canceled in August 2024 after Nano told Red Bao's model wasn't started. Excuse me. And just like I showed before, Nano said here that she had Bao on her commissions list as in not ongoing. I do not believe Nano would cancel a project if she had a significant amount of work invested into it already. Friends do not sabotage other friends. It's just business opportunities. Friends do not spread lies to fuel selfish narratives. Friends do not use private information to get from the privilege of being close friends, just to use it to manipulate others. I've never done any of these things. My friends both knowingly and unknowingly sabotaged me out of innumerable business opportunities when they chose to make this public. Nanoless and shylily spread lies about me to fuel their own selfish narratives to my friends and to the public. Nano used the private information Nano had in her messages with Red that she had from being close friends with him to use it to manipulate my friends and the public. Bao wasn't sabotaged by Red when it was originally canceled in 2024. He didn't lie about anything he genuinely believed about her, and none of the 5 reasons Bao listed above or anything else Red said to Nano about Bao were private information or things he knew from privilege of others being friends with her. After showing screenshots from January 2025, the next screenshot she presents is from August 2024, where she states it's another screenshot of Red urging Nano to cancel where he states it's another screenshot of Red urging Nano to cancel her model as if it's from the same situation. Yeah, this is in a completely different. This is at a completely different time. This is on back in 2024. Okay, Eastern Standard. Okay. Yeah, this is. What the heck? Hold on, I'll be right back. Sorry about that. I heard a loud noise. I thought someone was trying to break in. All right. Showing screenshots. Next screenshot presents. Okay. This is definitely one of the modified ones because you can see it's not that great of quality. More screenshots of them urging Nautilus to cancel the ongoing Live 2D commissions with me, even mentioning how excited I was about when I showed them the designs during Sinder and I's concert at WeebCon 2024. These are all Red's messages, not from them like Bao says. Nana wanted to cancel Bao's model, and Red assured her about it. Red said, I remember her showing it to us at WeebCon without ever mentioning how excited Bao was about it when she showed us the design. Don't sell yourself short. I think she'd be fine with taking the design and finding someone else. I wouldn't offer it for free or maybe half the price if she starts. Yeah, you're right. I'll talk to her today. I wouldn't offer it. I wouldn't offer it for free. Maybe half price if she starts shit. LOL. I don't know what I have ever done to either Redacted or Cinder to deserve this level of vitriol towards me. I don't remember having any issue or any problems that could have been solved by talking. In Nano's section, Red explained that he thought Nano should still be paid for the design work she did for Bao. The possibility of her starting shit was based on his own opinion of how she could react to bad news from Nano. The screenshot of their DMs shown in Bao's document was not included in Nano's document. On March 20th, I started a group Discord. On March 20th, I started a group Discord call the last 5 hours to hang out with my editors. In this group call, shared with us that he was afraid to ask Cinder for a raise because he initially turned down an exclusivity deal as a friend to both Cinder. And I encouraged him to take the deal and reassured him that it would not change our friendship, as I would never want someone I care about to miss an opportunity, even if it meant I would lose him as an editor. The other editors who were in the call can corroborate this. We were completely unaware Bao encouraged our video editor to take exclusivity offer. This call apparently happened over a month before I was cancelled, over a month after Nano cancelled the deal with Red, and over 2 months since they first made it. Our video editor never told Red or I about this. The few times they asked for raises while working with me, I was more than happy to accommodate them every single time. I'm in shock and disbelief that this is the narrative they decided I deserved, saying that I harbored an invisible jealousy because my songs flopped, made me feel sick to my stomach. In late 2024, I was dealing with debilitating TMJ pain that resulted in me having to drain fluid from my jaw in order to open my mouth properly. They both knew this. I've always wanted. I have always wanted my friends to succeed alongside me, and don't know how they could say these things, while simultaneously weaponizing my most vulnerable moments against me. Red pieced together the narrative. He convinced himself and told Neto he was laid out about Bao's section. Bao was the one who spoke ill of her own song's performance in her public Discord server last year, and Red decided it was a contributing factor in what happened. It had nothing to do with TMJ she's talking about, but I can see why she think it was. Her most vulnerable moments were not used against her. Why aren't you solving this privately? If you look at the timeline of events from Nano's documents, some of these messages date back years. I found about this less than 48 hours ago, and they did not give me common courtesy of talking to me privately about these years ago. My thoughts, feelings, my most vulnerable, darkest moments that I've shared in confidence with people I thought would be my side years and years from now may have been used as information to ruin my chances to have the same VTuber model as someone I thought was my friend, and I don't know how I can ever be the same after this. Honestly, a lot of this would have been, again, a lot of this would have just been solved if Bao herself would have just called Cinder and talked things out. We all know that through all the evidence that Cinder has given, Cinder would have talked and straightened things out with Bao. If you look at the timeline and events from Nano's document, I don't know how anyone can understand the timeline of events from Nano's document when everything was presented out of order and out of context. Some of these messages date back years. I found out about these less than 40 hours ago, and they did not give me common courtesy of talking to me privately about this over the years. This was not over years. The only times Nano and Red had meaningful conversation about Bao was at the end of July and early August 2024 and January 2025. From the time Bao's document was written, the oldest of these messages would have been about 9 months old. The problem Red had with Bao was only in December 2024, about 4.5 months before her document was posted. Either one of us should have talked to Bao when we had the chance, and we didn't, which Cinder has already taken accountability and she has already said her apologies. My thoughts, feelings, my most vulnerable, darkest moments that I shared in confidence may have been used as information to ruin my chances to have the same VTuber model as someone I thought was my friend. None of the reasons Bao listed above or anything else Red said to Nano about Bao was private information. Things she shared in confidence or anything to do. Excuse me, or anything to do or had anything to do with her most vulnerable, darkest moments. I would like to ask the community to refrain from spreading any harmful speculation. Everything shared in this document was done so with the express permission of those who shared it with me. I made the document from the intent to refute the claims made about me in the screenshots. Thank you for taking the time to read this. Of course, we all know that this was coordinated with Shy Lily, Nano, and several others. So this, again, a lot of this could have just been solved with just talking privately. Instead, no one did. The only one that has actually taken accountability so far that I know of is Cinder and Red. They have provided plenty of evidence to support their claims. Bowstream 4/27/2025. Hold on. Okay. I've still got a lot to go on this breakdown. Okay. Bao streamed the Bao streamed the night after posting her tweet in response to my apology. Just like her document, I won't be going over everything Bao said on her stream, and many of the things said she said were because she was convinced it was the truth. I'm choosing to believe she wasn't lying, but she was wrong. Alright, Bao's honest feelings about the Sinder situation. Okay. Well, I don't 956 to 1056. Well, I don't know how I can even remember what the conversation was like because I was just in state was just in a state. Well, I don't know how I can't even remember what the conversation was like because I was just in such a state of it, just like I'm hearing what Lily and Nano are telling me. What Lily and Nano are telling me, bow. Well, that explains a lot, but it's like I cannot compute it. I just kind of remember seeing the screenshots. Again, Bao has brought this. And the first thing she should have done is what I would have done is go straight to the person who's being accused. That's what I would have done. How much did Nano tell Bao? And how much did Shiley Lee say for her? The screenshots Bao saw couldn't have been more than what Shiley Lee saw. I believe Nano had the full context of them from the start. Yeah, she had to. In every scenario, I tried to wrap my head around what I would have done if I was in their shoes. I just can't. I can't. I couldn't understand it. We have been through so much offline and online, and there is nothing more confusing and more painful than seeing someone in your friend group be so kind and so warm to everyone around you and feeling that they have slowly become colder and colder towards you and not knowing what you did or if it's your imagination. But because everyone loves them, you don't know if you want to say anything. And so you keep it to yourself and you keep hoping it's your imagination, but then the cruel realization hits that it wasn't, and it's even worse than you could ever have imagined. And you wonder why all those times where they talked over you or ignored you or had done something wrong and just and kept asking myself, out of everyone in our friend group, why was it me? And like, why did I do what did I do differently? And for so long I was jealous of how warm they treated my friends, and I wondered why it's just so different towards me. Reading everything confirming my worst fears was awful. Bao couldn't understand what happened because she didn't have the full context or ever know the motivations and reasoning behind it. That was explained in her section. Red and I never talked to her when we should have, and I'm sorry to Bao for that. Everyone knows how special a VTuber's debut is. That is kind of the most important day of a VTuber's career, and all of the preparation and foresight needed to make it happen. No one tells you how stressful the project management is. No one tells you how to run a commission, all of the assets, all the coordination with merch shops to have everything come out on the dot, making sure that at the same time you're planning everything, you are having to advertise it. You look at a content creator online, and even though you are seeing one person on the screen, behind that one person is a really big team, and they have to coordinate with, and that takes a lot of time. And you are a VTuber. You have models and live 2D artists to work with. You know that they're booked out sometimes years in advance and have a sudden cancellation like that happen so suddenly right in the middle of everything happening. It is it's so I can't even begin to tell you like how hard it is to pivot and to restructure how the rest of the next month or a couple months is going to go in order to fill up the space. Some VTubers plan this out of years in advance. I'm not even joking. So to say I was devastated when my model was canceled is kind of an understatement. I completely sympathize with what Bao said here, which is part of the reason why Nano was so important to Red and and I and as my model artist. I sat on that design for so long, and I was so heartbroken that I just deleted the tweet where I teased it. I just I just couldn't look at it anymore. I don't know, maybe it's stupid, but if you're a VTuber, your model is what represents you, and you really do have to fall in love with it because it's an extension of yourself. And so I had that model as my subathon goal, one of my top subathon goals for a while, and I showed it to everybody around me. I'm very used to very cute dainty designs, and I wanted to see what it would feel like to have a sexual model. And ever since And ever since that happened, I thought about getting a different artist and keeping the design. But it felt like it wasn't the same, and I don't know what in. I didn't want an artist to just draw over the design. So I shelved it and hoped that maybe one day Nano would be free enough to take my commission. I told her that even if it was years from now, I would love to revisit the commission. Belle said her that her model with Nano was shelved and implied that it wasn't ever rescheduled again, which we know is false because Nano mentioned it in the messages in Nano's section. Bells. There are so many ways to be competitive and still not hurt other people in the process, and I don't know. I don't know. I feel like even when she was so much smaller than me and was just starting out, I still remember showing up, calling her during a random stream, and just making a little bit out of it. And like for I think I speak for all my friends, but we wouldn't be where we are if we weren't there for each other. And I have always felt that way. Every success that each of us has is everyone's success. No. No. I am going to highly disagree with Bao on this. That is wishful thinking, but in the content creator space, we all know how competitive it is. It is very competitive, and honestly, a lot of times, like Cinder has had to learn, trust is very fleeting, and it can be broken very easily. I was never competitive towards Bao in the same way. I felt I was towards Silvervale. I agreed with everything Bao said here, and I'll always be grateful to her and my friends for what they did for me, and proud of what I was able to do for them. All right, and honestly, I'm still curious, and I'm still waiting to see what the rest of the group, like Bao, Numi, and everyone else, says with the release of this document. So far, I haven't heard anything, but I'm going to keep my eye open. And that's most fucked up part about it. It's like the whole time I was like, what did I do? Like, what did I do? And like, why was I even considered a threat at all? I felt like she was so much more successful, and I felt like she had everything that I could ever dream of, and like, there was no need to kick the ladder down. There was no need. Which, of course, we know Cinder didn't do that. If Bao or any of my friends had come to us before making things public, they would have found out the motivations behind what Red did. Bao was never considered a threat. Someone put the idea in her head because it's not something ever said in Red's messages. Yeah, no. No, they're not. How could you accuse me of being a thief when I spent 5 years talking to our editor, telling him and assuring him that I would never stop being his friend, even if he took an exclusivity deal with you, and it would mean I would only have two editors for my channel. And like that, still did not stop me from considering your financial well-being and the successive growth of your channel. And they could not even spare the time and thought for me. Like I explained when going over Bao's document, our editor never told Red or I about this conversation with Bao. We had no idea it ever happened. Red was the only one who had a problem with our editor working with Bao, and only after December 2024 before it wasn't a problem for either of us, except initially, like I explained with Bao's section, Red's conversation with Nano about it was in January 2025, 2 months before Bao's conversation with our editor. Like you do not know how many times I was told to put in my Google Doc. Like you do not know how many times I was told to put in my Google Doc the fact that you had a significant other, and no matter how many times people told me to put it in, and how stupid I would be to not put it in, I could not bring myself to put it in because I knew what that would do to your reputation, and you could not spare the same thought from me. It would have been so easy for me to prove that you had seen the messages, but I couldn't do it because in the end I still wouldn't do that to you, and so I wonder why you would do that to me. I appreciate Bao not putting my relationship in her document while under the pressure from Shy Lily and our friends to do so, but I would never do that to anyone like she claimed I would. Red and I being in a relationship doesn't prove that I'd seen all of the messages. My friends had no way of knowing that that or not, be- just because we were together. However, if Nano lied about the alleged years of manipulation and the abuse she suffered with us, then I can see why my friends wouldn't believe any. I wouldn't know about any of the things I actually didn't. But the story Nano told them isn't true. So I looked. Excuse me. So I looked at when I read your apology. I was just looking for some semblance of. I just wanted to know if you know what to say. Excuse me. I was just looking for some semblance of. I just wanted to know if you would know what to say. I just wanted to know if you ever had thought of me as a close friend or if it was just one sided or not. And I felt like I still don't know by the end of reading your apology. And that really fucking sucks. And now I just don't know what to think or what to believe and how easily I could have turned this into a personal vendetta. But I kept it strictly about the people and clients that were affected and how their careers were put on pause because suddenly a month-long project was put on hold, and to pivot so suddenly, especially when so many VTuber tributes are tied around a holiday or a birthday on dates that cannot be changed. When I wrote my apology, I was blindsided by what Red did and said about her to Nano behind my back, and everyone thought it was my fault. I couldn't accurately explain everything that happened between Red and I over bow with the pressure I was under. But I also felt I couldn't own up to the way I treated Bao and the role played in making her feel the way she did. But without the context, without the con, everything that happened between Red and I over Bao, with the pressure I was under. But I also felt I couldn't own up to the way I treated Bao and the whole role I played in making her feel the way she did without the context. I didn't know what to do or what to say or how to say it. So I said the bare minimum. Bao deserved better at the time, and I hope I can make it right now. Bao mentions that she kept her document about the people and clients that were was affected. Was she talking about these clients? Bao wouldn't have known what really happened to the projects, but Nano did. Giga, Zen, Fufu, Megalodon. Okay, I heard. I didn't know Fufu had a model. Megalodon. I didn't know Megalodon. Mousy. I didn't know about Mouse. Okay. I'm canceling shit. I need my freedom. Okay, yeah, we already read all these. Numi forgave you when you didn't come to her concert that you were planning with her for over half a year. I wonder. Yeah, we. This is definitely a lie. We already know because there are screenshots and text. Half a year. I wonder if you know how devastated you was and how the middle of the year when I was so depressed, and then there was some days where I couldn't even bring myself to leave my bed. I still managed to fly 6 hours to New York to be there for her. But I was saying I didn't come to Numi's concert that I was planning with her for over half a year. It was the only thing she lied about on stream. I'm choosing to believe this was just a mistake in the heart of the moment and not deliberate lie. There is a portion of this section below talking about Numi concert where I'll talk about this again. I feel like every single I I feel like every single pivotal moment where you had the chance to be a good person and a good friend, you chose not to be. And no matter how many times me and your friends try to wrap our heads around it and try to make sense of it, we can't. We can't because every single time we come to realization that it's not what we would do if we cared, or at some point, what are you even trying to one up? The only pivotal moment I can assume Bao was talking about here was with Numi's concert that she just spoke about, and possibly when I didn't say anything after a model was canceled in August. Bao and the rest of my friends didn't understand because they don't have the full story. I was never trying to one up any of my friends, including Bao. And even then, you're bound to get jealous at a content creator, but you choose to do it with that jealousy is what defines your character. You can either let it make you spiteful or you can feel it to forge your own success. Because when you're a streamer, yeah, you can share audiences with people, but at the end of the day, you're building your own community. You shouldn't focus on trying to take what other people have because that's not how you get it. that's what you made for yourselves. I feel like, from my point of view, they were so much more further ahead than me than I could ever imagine, and I got kicked down a ladder that I feel like I initially gave you. None of us would be where we are without each other. Jealousy didn't fuel anything. Red or I did. Someone else was telling Bao that was the case. None of the evidence shows I or Red ever being jealous of anyone because we weren't. I don't know who Bao is talking about when she implies I was talking to other people's communities for myself, and didn't I didn't kick down the ladder on her in January. Red made a mistake that I don't know about. Red made a mistake that I didn't know about to stop it from happening. I agree. Bao was someone who was a kind VTuber, much smaller than her, someone who had no obligation to show any kindness to, but she did, and she did to the rest of my friends, and I'll always be thankful to them for it and everything they've done for me. You could not have had this go on for so long and not know about it. This wasn't going on, and not for as long as my friends were misled to believe by Nano and any other problems Red had with Bao. Only stated in December 2024. If I were them, I can understand why it'd be unbelievable. I feel like I was tasked with an impossible choice, and I hate it. But it had to be the position where it had to be me or say something, or no one else would. And it's not about whether or not I am right or wrong, but it's the fact that I didn't even want to be in this position to begin with. And I know that for so many people to be affected, that was the right decision to do. But it really fucking sucks that I had to do this in the first place. And I feel like I've been given the impossible task so many times already in my career. If I don't say something, then no one else will. And if I had my choice to do it, then I would take it. But I know that would be the wrong choice. Just like Buff said, Bao had an impossible choice given to her by everyone involved. With the fire VTuber that happened recently, a lot of us didn't say anything until the person who was affected said something, and we all want to said person said, "Hey, what do you want to do?" And they said, "I want to do this." And we said, "Okay, girlie, like you do." Okay, so they were waiting for. Okay, so they were waiting for Bao to say something first. I do believe Bao made the best choice with the information she had and the state of mind she was in, and for all the people she was thinking about when making it. I forgive her what she chose to do. What I don't understand is why the choice to make anything public was left up to Bao. Why didn't they look to Nano to say anything when all the evidence was from her DMs? Why was it Bao's responsibility to say something, or no one else would? Why would they put the pressure on her in the state she was in? Speculation. Nano could have said she wouldn't make anything public without Bao. Nano knew her story was a lie all along. It couldn't stand on its own, so she wasn't going to say anything unless it was backed up by Bao. Ooh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I just wish my apology had any semblance of evidence that you even knew me as a person, and not just someone you'd had to surpass. And when I read it, I felt like you didn't. But I was never someone I felt like I needed to surpass. Someone else must have convinced her that it was the case. I cared about Bao, but Bao was my friend, and I wasn't treating my friend for too long. I cared about Bao, but Bao was my friend that I wasn't treating like my friend for too long. I'm sorry I wasn't a better one to her when I needed to be. Speculation. Why did Shy Lily have to contact Bao for Nano? Shy Lily encouraged Nano to bring her DMs to the people affected, including Bao, but Shy Lily was the one who ended up reaching out to Bao. Why? I don't know Nano. I don't think Nano could confront Bao herself. Nano only showed Shy Lily select screenshots of what happened in her DMs with Red over Bao's model, not the full context. The difference was that Shy Lily, excuse me, happened in her DMs with Red over Bao's model, not the full context. The difference was that Shy Lily was already on her side after she told Nano she was being manipulated. If Nano went to Bao alone, Bao wouldn't have any of that pre-established context, meaning Nano would have had to explain what happened to her model by herself. Bao would have obviously wanted to see all of the messages of of it happening, and Nana would have incriminated herself. But Shiley was the one to contact Bao for her. Shiley could explain Red's manipulation in the messages about herself first, and would have need Nano wouldn't need to show the context of the messages about Bao and her model because Shiley was voicing for her. She just had she just had to nod along. Bao wouldn't have doubted Shiley's word. Was Bao's model really canceled the second time? Speculation. Throughout this document, I've been writing under the assumption that Bao's model with Now was canceled twice. First in August 2024 and second in January 2025. Nano told Red in January that Bao's model was in her commissions list and went as far as to offer to cancel the second time herself. eventually, eventually agreeing to do so in their deal. Okay, yep, we've already got over all that. But Nano's document, which Shali presumably wrote for her with the information Nano gave her, and Bao's document never mentioned her model ever being canceled another time in August 2024. She said on stream that after her model was canceled the first time, it was shelved. So I shelved it, and I hope that maybe one day Nano would be free enough to take my commission. 2 years from now, I would have to revisit the commission. Unless Bao was lying, which she could very well be, I don't believe her model was ever officially rescheduled Nano after August 2024, meaning it couldn't have been canceled a second time. What I think happened is that when Bao's model was canceled, and she told Nano the above, Nano kept Bao's model on her commissions list in something like indefinite waitlist section unbeknownst to Bao. When Red approached Nano about the exclusivity deal and brought up Bao's name, Nano said it was on her list, not telling him the context of it being there. After encouraging Red to explain his reasonings to her, she offered to cancel Bao's model forever in exchange for us paying for her own model rigging, which she discounted from our next commission with her. Oh my gosh, Nano lies so much. Why would Nano have been so quick to offer to cancel Bao's model a second time when she didn't have the courage to do it? Didn't have the courage to do it in the first time in August 2024. Because Nano didn't have to cancel it this time. She never had to confront Bao because the model was never rescheduled. Nano knew she wasn't accountable for Bao's model when she made Red her offer, but Red didn't know that. She used it to negotiate with Red to get what she wanted at Bao's expense, offering to cancel it for basically nothing in making this deal. She just had to forever kick the model down the road, never making time for it. Well, Bao would forever cling into hope she would. Out of the message I showed above, these were the only ones present in Nano's document. Nano never showed Bao. Sitting down for long periods of time makes me tired. Nano never showed Bao, Charlotte, and my friends the messages where she and Red were talking about Bao's model in January. She never showed when it was first brought up, when Nano offered to cancel it, or when they made their agreement. Nano lied to my friends and told them she never made a deal with Red, like it said in Nano's document. They believed her. She never showed them it happening, and nothing happened to prove it did, other than Nano's rigging getting paid for, including Bao's model never actually getting cancelled a second time. No matter what Red said to Nano in the conversation, no one that was named in the agreed upon deal suffered any losses due to it before it was cancelled. All right. What part is this? Alright, 86. Alright. Alright. Excuse me. All right. In November, did Nano even want to make Bao's model? Speculation. In November of 2023, Nano was excited to do Bao's model before there was a design for it at all. At for it at that was known was that it be a mommy model and was planned for June 2024. What for you yet? It's like normal whale or is there a theme? She wants a big mommy Bao. Oh yeah, I really want to work with. Oh yeah, I really want to work with Bao. Are you designing Bao's? Not sure. We didn't get into specifics yet, just since it's planned for June. Bao showed Red and I the finished design for the model at WeebCon in March 2024. Bao's model was planned for June 2024, but by the end of July, it hadn't even been started. Nano told Red she was considering canceling her model, and he encouraged her to do what she thought was best for her. Okay, Nano canceled Bao's model at the start of August 2024. Yep, okay. We already went over there. It's about okay. After negotiating a deal with Red, and Nano offered to cancel Bao's model forever in exchange for payments. She told Red she didn't care about Bao. Okay, yeah. We already went over all this. Nano was decided to work with Bao in November 23. Was made. She didn't want to make the actual model for it. I'm not going to say what the design was out of respect for Bao's plans, but it's plausible that it could have been a factor. Nano canceled the model once without having to deal with the guilt of canceling a second time, offered to cancel it forever for her own benefit. Red coming to her in January was just an outside excuse for her to never have to actually do it, while getting something she wanted out of the same time. It doesn't sound like Nana wanted to make Bao's model, no matter when or who, or if she ever made time for it. Do you know what Nano specifically said? She did not want to work on it. I'm freaking out with my commissions, and I think I just want to do Sinder stuff. Yep. Okay, Shalily's reply to my apology is what canceled me. With over 8 million views, it's full of false accusations made without showing any evidence and triggering language to turn people against me, painting me in as bad of a light as possible, the same way Now's document was written. I'm willing to bet that most people just read Charlie's reply and nothing else. It's much easier to only read this and then read my whole apology. Who wouldn't trust Shy Lily? Shy Lily's reply to my reference. I've already read this. I don't want to read all those lies again. The absolute audacity to sit here and continue to manipulate and gaslight is absolute insanity. The first thing Shy Lily did was completely discredit anything I said in my apology is as unbelievable, claiming it was all manipulation, gaslight. No one was going to question her. She's Shy Lily. Shy Lily was involved in everything from the start, convinced Nano she was being manipulated, organized my friends against me, and evidently wrote Nano's document for her. The pain and mental torment you've caused to the ones closest and most supportive of you has been devastating, and I've never been so heartbroken and hurt so badly for my friends. Yes, I hurt Numi when I chose business over concert, and I apologize. But I was still there at the show for her. I was a terrible friend to Bao and should have talked to her instead of ignoring the problem with Red. I selfishly left Tricky behind in Japan when I wanted to make the most of my time. There, I'm not innocent of ever hurt. I'm not there. I wanted to make most of the time there. I'm not innocent of ever hurting my friends. You are the fakest person I've ever had the displeasure of supporting, reading, and hearing how you really viewed me behind my back, not just through screenshots of your man, but also your very own messages while having to sit there and read through these bullshit lies you spin makes me want to vomit. The only message I ever sent to anyone about how I viewed Shy Lily behind her back was about how I looked up to her as a role model, and that once I became part owner of Gamer Subs, I felt pressured by no one other than myself to live up to the bar she set. This was what I said to Numi when apologizing to her about her concert, and wasn't a situation that was brought up by anyone before Shelly replying to my already posted apology. Yup. Oh, not on part. Red said he thought we'd have to start considering her competition if she was going to treat me differently for seemingly no reason, and was now working with most valued artists. I didn't feel that way, and wasn't. And those weren't my words. The claim that you didn't know a single thing and had zero awareness and a man was up to everything, blah 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 blah. I didn't say I didn't know a single thing. Red ever did. I didn't know I didn't say I didn't know a single thing Red ever did. I didn't know about the specifics of what happened in Red's conversations with Nano and other few instances shown in this document. He summarized things for me but didn't tell me everything and lied to me about their exclusivity deal. I didn't read the messages myself. I didn't question what he told me because I trusted him, and the only thing I lied about not knowing about was Red talking to Nano and about Spite, and that was to me to make the situation worse for myself. Shiloh and my friends who corroborated that we operated as the same person did not have any idea how Red and I worked together at home or even the fact we lived together. The same way that they didn't ever see us argue or knew that I cheated on him in the past. Them blaming everything on me only works if it is to believe we share every message, thought, and feeling, and before they are acted upon. While loving to jump at the slightest opportunity, blah 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 blah. I don't know what Charlie thinks she's referring to. I've never slandered any of my friends. What Red said in his own messages to Nano about Bao were his own opinions, as explained. Red didn't maliciously lie about anyone, like Charlie did about me, and only said what he believed was true from his own experience. Red was his own person with his own thoughts, feelings, and opinions, experiences, in his own personal involvement, and what happened was intentionally ignored to pin all the blame on me. Blah 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 blah. Shalili brings up what happened with Numi's concert, something I had no idea I was expected to address, since it was already settled between us and wasn't related to any of the accusations made against me. I'm going to break this apart down piece by piece. Yep, we saw before that Sinder had already apologized and talked with Numi out. Blah 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 blah. Shalili did not experience this. Shalili did not experience this. This was in a private conversation between Numi and I. She said this was my own screenshotted words, but there were never any screenshots of any of this situation made public, but she chose to address it publicly. That I'm a part of Game of Subzone, I feel like a pressure to live up to what Lily is for them and to the community. Blah 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 blah. I did not proceed to throw Numi under the bus. As I said this while I was apologizing to her for the decision I made, ending with me trying to make my mistakes right before facing my fears of getting on stage or rescheduling the collab I had with Shalili to be at the concert sooner. I did make it to her concert, and I was there to support her. I did not know the planning process or it's even possible at this point, but okay, yeah. Sh- Shy Lily says months of continuous planning, but the first message knew me trying to plan anything with me to was Red, and Red 2.5 weeks before I decided to not perform, and 5 weeks before the show itself. There was nothing planned beyond me being on stage because of my own hesitancy, not even having songs picked out. Bao also said this was being planned for over a half a year, which may be a true for the concert itself, but not me being involved. Which, with all the screenshots that was in the newbie section, this is true. Cinder is not lying. Just because you constantly chose business over friends, never feeling bad for failing them. Which, of course, we know this is not true. Charlotte Lee's constantly lying. I did choose business over a friend when it was between V Card and after my promotion to part owner and making it to Numi's concert, but I did feel bad about my decision before I had even heard from Numi. My tweet is evidence of that. I was wrong and I apologized to her, and I was still at her show supporting her. Me canceling my performance had nothing to do with business and everything to do with my own fears and insecurities. Yep, we have that there. Just to earn back blah 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 blah. Our collab had nothing to do with earning the bag. I had already earned plenty the day before on the actual lunch day. It was about being responsible as a new part owner of the brand and representing them during a very important launch week alongside Shiloh Lily. If I wanted to compete with Shiloh Lily, then I wouldn't have asked to collab. Why would I have wanted to share the screen with her in that case? I wanted to collab to work with her car, so her card game was as big of a success as we could make it for the entire company. I rescheduled our collab on the day oblivious to my friend's event in my blind excitement for V Card. I was explained before it was a mistake, and I made another mistake choosing it over going to the concert. But the collab was rescheduled after I had already pulled out the performance. I agreed to be in the show, but I never made a promise to Numi I would perform or that I would be there. And Numi even told Red it was okay if I didn't do it either. You guys don't have to feel obligated to go either way, either, by the way. I hope it doesn't sound like a pressure, y'all. Everyone is tired from 2024 travels. But it sounds a lot worse. It sounds a lot worse on me from Shiley to claim that. I did break a promise to a friend for money. Agreeing to do something and making a promise to a friend have very different connotations, especially when making claims to the public without any evidence. You actively lied about them instead of blaming me for your collaboration. Shiley said I blamed her for missing an obligation agreed to. No, what I agreed to was to perform, and I didn't perform because of my own reasons. Not going to the concert is what she's talking about, which, by Numi's own words, I wasn't obligated to go. I didn't lie to Numi, and I didn't blame Shiley. And the fact she thinks I did points out the importance she gives herself when it wasn't about her. She made my apology to Numi about her when it wasn't. I took accountability for what I did and apologized to my friend, and I still made it to her show after the collab. When I made the decision not to go to Numi's concert, I told her I felt obligated to be around for VCard's launch weekend as a partial owner, Gamer Subs owner. My collab with Charlotte Lee was planned for that day. Even if it wasn't happening, my choice would have been likely the same. Of course, we've already read this in Numi's section. When I apologized to her, I told her I felt pressured to live up to what. Okay, that's weird. My internet's acting funky. Okay, there we go. That's odd. Okay. When I apologized to her, I felt pressured to. Why is my internet acting weird? Uh, mm, users will experience buffering. The stream's current bitrate. Okay, it's higher than recommended. Okay. All right. Okay, it's. Get that off the freaking screen. What? No. No, I don't want that. Okay. Okay. That's backup recipe. All right. When I apologized to her, I told her I felt pressure to live up to what Shiloh was for gamer subs and the VTuber community now that I had the same position. I wasn't blaming Shiloh. It was about my new position as part owner. Shiloh was the only example to follow in the footsteps of, and she set the bar I felt I needed to hold myself to for the company. I then told Numi that I made plans to collab with Shiloh the day after VCard's launch, and that I planned it as early as the day as possible to make it to her show. I should have been more clear when I said that. I didn't really know how to tell Shiloh no, as I explained in the feed card section of this document. This was not all me blaming Shiloh for the collab I planned with her, or that it was the main reason I made the choice I did. I said I shouldn't have thought it to put a product launch over my friend's once in a lifetime event because my decision wasn't solely on the about the collab with Shy Lady or trying to blame her for it. My decision was because it was V Card's launch. Of course, we've already read all this. Everything you do is out of competition to constant needs, for a reason. Yeah, competitions, platforms, and being your whole welcome. By the way, I my I myself only viewed one person's competition. It wasn't charity, and it wasn't any of my friends. And yes, my friends have helped me along the way. Some a lot more than others that I should have been more grateful towards. And we all grow together. But I didn't. But I don't owe every single thing I have to them. And I especially don't owe anything to Shy Lily. Her saying "you're welcome," by the way, comes off as extremely narcissistic if she had any major impact on where I am and what I've accomplished and expects credit for it. Other than the few collabs we had, most of which were on my stream, and a skip she agreed to let me get. I have no idea what she could be talking about as far as she said she's always had a bad feeling about me, making it seem like the few things we did together she begrudgingly agreed to in the first place. You claim that it's just business. Well, in the business world, has to be accountability. All you've done is try to shove it away and admit to nothing. Shiley purposely misconstrued my "it's just business" quote into something to attack me, which just like in Nano's document in the actual context of the situation where this quote comes from. I meant it to accept whatever decision Nano chose to for herself, regardless of how I feel about it, because in the end, it's just business. If you actually read my apology, you see that I admitted to more than nothing like she claims here. I just didn't. Excuse me. I just didn't admit to the things I didn't do. In true narcissistic fashion, you're the only feeling in the true narcissistic fashion, you're the only feeling sorry about yourself or your own consequences and your career and try to salvage it. Again, if you actually read my apology, you see that I apologize and take accountability for the things I did do. Shalili is the only person who made the claim I was narcissistic, and given her actions before and after this, it really seems like projection. Yes, it does. I'm sorry for evidence. I'm sorry for everyone who looked up to you as inspiration, and I'm especially sorry for your fans. Power Pups deserve better. If how Shy Lily handled everything and what she did to me, it's what supposed to be better than what I was to Power Pups, then it's not my community I feel sorry for. Oh, oh, shot. All right. Oh, what time is it? Okay. How long does this go for? Okay, she's breaking down. Okay, she's breaking down Shy Lily stream. Okay. All right. I think I'm going to end this stream here before I end it. Let me take a picture of it so I know exactly where I'm at. Let me delete this hold on so I don't get it confused. Okay. Camera. Breakdown. Okay. All right. All right. And I have a picture and I can continue this tomorrow. Oh my gosh, there's so much. All right. Yep, like I said before, you know what? I'm going to leave my final thoughts when I like I said I'm going to leave my I'm trying to keep my final thoughts packed away until I finish up the document. I'm going to continue my stream tomorrow. It's past 7 my time and I've not had a shower yet. I'm dirty and I am hungry. So I'm going to go take a shower and get something to eat. And I want to thank to everyone being here. And as always, of course, this is I'm Ryder, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. I'll see you guys later. Goodbye and good night. Hope everyone has a blessed rest of the weekend and have a blessed Saturday.